The KCSN Live Postgame Show with DJ Kissel and Kent Swanson is about to begin. The best postgame coverage you can find. Entertain, educate, inform. KC Sports Network. Live on the 101 The Fox Facebook page, KC Sports Network's YouTube channel, and tomorrow, well, wherever you find your podcasts. This is the KCN Live Postgame Show with BJ Kissel and Kent Swanson from the Bullpen Bar and Grill in Overland Park.
What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome to the KCSN Live Postgame Show. I'm BJ Kissel. That is Ken Swanson. We've got Tucker Franklin behind the lights, we'll say, making everything work. Chiefs 42, Eagles 30. They moved to 2-2 on the season to get back to 500. This is going to be a fun one. We're going to give our 10 observations in this game. Real quick, Kent, what do you love about today?
I love that Andy Reid got his 100th win in Kansas City. It feels good. I'm excited, happy. I want Andy Reid's career to be memorialized in Kansas City, and it started today. I love that.
I love it for him. I love the just the poetry of him doing it in Philly. And he made the joke this week about the reason they had lost to the Ravens and the Chargers was that he was just setting it up so he could get that 100th win, become the first coach in NFL history to win 100 games with two different teams. We're going to break it all down, like I said, with these 10 observations. Matt Lane and Craig Stout are going to join us here in a little bit. But if you've been watching our post-game shows, we appreciate that. And we appreciate the Bullpen Bar and Grill for hosting us here out in Overland Park for these post-game shows. They're always good at taking care of us. Darren and his crew are always very good about that. So make sure, whether you're watching on Facebook, in our Facebook group on 101 The Fox, or within the Facebook group there on the KCSN powered by the Chiefs Kingdom Facebook group, we appreciate everybody for watching. You're on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. There's a lot of places to watch it. We appreciate if you're watching, whatever platform you're on. If you have questions, send those along. Tucker will make sure to bring those up onto the screen, and we can answer your guys' questions throughout the show. Let's start with tomorrow's headlines. And like the number one observation, was this the quietest 5-touchdown performance for a quarterback, maybe in NFL history?
So we're watching the game, and I turned to BJ. I said, that's his 5th touchdown. He's got 5? What a game for Patrick Mahomes. It's a very quiet 5-touchdown performance. Felt like, it didn't really feel like the Eagles did much in the way of resistance for this team. And Patrick Mahomes made that very obvious with 5 touchdowns. Maybe a couple shovel passes in there. We're kind of talking there a little bit, but some big plays by Patrick Mahomes. A really good, exclamation mark on this game with the deep touchdown to Tyreek Hill late.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Tyreek Hill. We're going to talk a lot more about Patrick Mahomes. We're going to talk about this offensive line. But Mahomes finishes 24 of 30 for 278 yards, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception on one of those passes that we've seen him force a couple. Matty Lane had put out, and we're going to ask him later on the show. It'll be interesting to see on that play specifically where Mahomes is trying to go with it. There's going to be a lot of people breaking that down throughout the show. But the other thing we want to talk about, you mentioned it before, but Andy Reid. Let's spend a minute on this because he's not going to get we talk about normalizing what Patrick Mahomes is doing, what Travis Kelce's doing, what Tyreek Hill is doing now. It's also not normalized what Andy Reid is doing and what he's done on the field to bring just a consistent winner to this fan base and what we needed as a fan base at the time. It can't be overstated.
Well, his career started in Philadelphia. He had a lot of success in Philadelphia. His win percentage was under 600. It's over 700 in Kansas City at this point. And, the foundation was set well before Patrick LeVon Mahomes entered the scene. This is not just something that just happened because Patrick Mahomes got here. This is something that established itself from Jump Street. He won the first 9 games in his career at Kansas City, and he's had an immense amount of success. It's so deserved for everything he gets. It's so deserved. He's an ambassador for the National Football League. He's beloved. His coaching tree is better than, I'll say it, his coaching tree is better than anybody's. It's outstanding. I love the fact that Andy Reid got his 100 win at Kansas City. And there might be another 100 down the road here. We'll see if he can survive. With Patrick Mahomes, who knows?
You can't put anything by these guys right now. And let's go through a couple of these numbers. We're going to welcome on Craig Stout here in a minute. But going back to Patrick Mahomes, became the third fastest player. Tucker, correct me if I'm wrong. Third fastest player in NFL history. Number one.
He is the first quarterback to win 40 games in his first 50 starts.
Wow. Looked at that Chiefs PR. I thought he was second. Darryl LaMonica was up there and somebody else. But either way, 40 wins in his first 50 starts is pretty damn impressive, as are some of these offensive statistics. We're talking about Andy Reid and just figuring it out from one week to the next, and that every week is a different battle. Chiefs offense goes 9 of 10 on third down. 9 of 10. That might be the best third down, one of the best since Andy Reid has been in Kansas City. I used to keep track of, I called them the 4 core stats. So it's like third down, red zone, turnovers, all that stuff. And the other one to look at, Chiefs defense in the red zone, 3 of 6. Now that's not a lot to write home about, but they were 11 or 12. They were 11 or 12 coming into this game. So they significantly improved that average. They did have the one turnover, but they overcame that.
And I think the turnover was the one third down that they didn't convert, if I remember correctly.
It was a third down that he
one turnover. Yeah, the one. It was just that. It was the pressure hitting the arm and the interception. That was the only time they didn't convert a third down today.
That is absolutely unbelievable.
Dominant.
And you know what else is unbelievable? That we get to talk to Mr. Craig Stout, the big institution. Again this week, it's becoming one of my favorite things. We get to see this beautiful man's face and, more importantly, this beautiful man's beard. Postgame show's got a different vibe, Mr. Craig Stout, after a win.
Yeah, I mean, it's great when the offense plays well, isn't it, guys? Really great. I'm here to talk to you about the other side of the ball, though.
Yeah, let's get into that. I know we were messaging throughout, but let's start with the red zone defense because it was better. I know we're going to talk about the other stuff because you guys have been banging the table on the same stuff that we continue to see, and you've been talking about it all off season, all into the season. But let's talk about the red zone defense. What did you see that was encouraging, and what did you see that needs to get better?
I think a lot of things still need to get better. Obviously, you can only go up from 100% red zone conversion there, but I do think that you saw maybe a little more contending, maybe a little more pressing at the line of scrimmage from some of these cornerbacks. I think you saw the defensive line play a little bit better at times. But that being said, Jalen Hurts missed on 2 passes that would have been touchdowns that were open receivers. And then the third non-conversion actually occurred on a play that the Chiefs defense stepped up and stopped, but a special teams penalty put the Eagles offense back on the field, and a rub route that the refs luckily called took a touchdown off the board, resulting in that 3 of 6. It still needs to be cleaned up. There were still opportunities there. Good offenses are going to make them pay, but I did like the fight just a little bit better. I think that this group may be changing the mentality. I'm reluctant to say it because I think if Hurts hits those guys, we're talking about this completely different.
Yeah, Craig, not everything's perfect with this defense yet, and they gave up 30 points here, obviously. One of the issues that we saw, the first touchdown of the game, off of a potential fumble. We don't need to go there, but the Eagles line up again. They get set quick. This team gets caught off guard again. What's going on when teams try to play tempo? It's still a problem again.
I mean, we've been talking about this for a year and a half now. Teams go tempo against the Chiefs. They struggle to adjust. Everybody struggles to stay on the same page because Spagnuolo's defense is complex. That's why you have guys playing that you do, because they are typically guys that are highly intelligent, good football IQ guys that can learn things quickly and be able to get in the spots that they need to go. But if nobody's on the same page, as we have seen now for 3 weeks in a row, and it was especially bad when the Eagles went tempo to start this game, you see big chunk plays. The Chiefs defense gave up over 10 yards a play on first down in the first half of this game. That's abysmal. You can't do that and expect to win games. Luckily, they were able to step up a little bit in the red zone, be able to come up with some stops there. But the defense as a whole was awful against tempo and just can't get on the same page. If you can't get on the same page, then why are these guys playing? Like, that's the logic behind why some of these guys are playing.
And Craig, I'm sure we're going to get into this in the laboratory later this week, but this is year 3 of the Steve Spagnuolo defense, and this layer of disorganization is just kind of feels unacceptable. What is the issue here? Because this is a very well-established program. There's a lot of veterans that have been in this defense for a long time. What's going on here?
Yeah, and you do see a couple of new guys. I mean, a lot of the secondary is rotating around. There's a couple new guys on the defensive line. Nick Bolton, another new guy, is coming along still here. But those are all guys, the guys that we're talking about, that are guys with good football IQ that seem to wrap their heads around things quickly. It's just not happening. I don't know if the call's not getting spit out by Anthony Hitchens before everybody can line up. I don't know if the coverage calls are being able to be translated all throughout the secondary when they're lining up, but something needs to change. Something needs to get shortened up when they're splitting things out. Something needs to adjust. You need to have some quick audibles and know where everybody needs to be, because right now there's too often these guys have no clue. They're just standing around covering grass, and that is unacceptable.
You know, Craig, the thing I wanted to ask you about as we communicate here, the order in which we're asking different things right now, I want to ask Mike Dana, 2 sacks today. I know you guys had written about him. You and Maddie did last week, just what we had seen from him. And the Chiefs pass rush was something that we talked about. Ken and I were talking about during the game, that we expected to see more for what the Eagles offensive line was banged up. We expect him to come out here and get some pressure. Mike Dana had some sacks, like he made some plays, but what did you see from him, and what is happening up front? Are those guys just not getting off blocks, or what's happening for us not to find success in the pass rush area?
Well, it's too often that they're getting into some 3rd and short or 2nd and short situations. It's not often enough that they are getting to pin their ears back. I think you saw there at the end of the game, the last couple of drives, when the Chiefs knew that they could pin their ears back a little bit, the pressure was there a little bit more, and they were finally able to get home against some of those guys. Eagles came out running the ball quick and throwing the ball rapidly to keep Jalen Hurts protected. Lots of bootlegs towards Chris Jones, especially trying to get him on the move and protect him a little more. So that definitely contributed. But when those situations early in the game where the Chiefs finally got to pin their ears back and rush the passer, it still wasn't good enough on a regular basis against a backup offensive line. I did like what we started to see, the glimpses at the end of the game, but you can't just turn it on when you're up 15. You got to do that on the early 3rd downs. Protect yourself. Get off the field. Don't put yourself in the red zone every single drive, but 2 in this game. That just can't happen.
I was gonna say bye, and then he just dumped that stat on us. Like, oh, that one just hurt my heart. Like, you can't do it. But I'm gonna, before we let you go, Craig, I did want to get your thoughts on this too, because Frank Clark is such a polarizing topic, and I know that I'm right in the middle of it with my thoughts, but this is a serious question. The Chiefs are struggling so much to get pressure in defensively that even if Frank Clark at 70% might not be the value of his contract, but if he's out there and doing whatever he can, is he a better option at 70% than the rest of what we have to put out there, even if it's not warranting the $20 million a year contract, whatever it is, it's $26 million cap hit. At some point, you just have to put your best players out there and give yourself a best chance with what you have. Is that what you see maybe happening as we go forward?
I mean, he would definitely help from the diagnosis standpoint. I know I just got done kind of dunking on the smart football IQ guys for not making plays, but Frank Clark does a lot of that. He helps adjust those fronts along with Anthony Hitchens. He's able to make those sorts of adjustments and make some negative plays, particularly in the run game. I think he helps there a little bit, but they need more help than just Frank Clark. Yes, he's probably going to help. Yes, he's probably going to identify things quicker than some of these guys that haven't played as much defensive end as he is, but you got to get some other dudes in here. You got to get some more contribution regularly.
Where are they coming from?
Line.
Not to cut you off, just like that's the thing, and I understand from Chiefs fans, like that's not good enough. Be like, okay, let's be pragmatic about it. Like, what are you going to do? Like, who's going to go out there and play? Who's going to take those snaps?
Jaron Reed's got to step up. Turk Wharton's got to get more snaps rushing the passer. Alex Okafor's got to look better than he has. Chris Jones has to be able to kick inside and rush where we know he's best rushing the passer. That's where the improvement's going to come from. It's not like you're going to go find a guy off the street, because those dudes aren't there right now that are going to make that kind of impact. So it's got to come internally, and you got to be able to do it on those money downs.
right, you're going to find Craig's analysis tomorrow. You're going to find Craig's analysis later in the week, breaking down this defense on the KCSN Substack, kcsn.substack.com. Craig, thank you so much for spending a little time with us today.
Appreciate you guys.
All right, we will take a quick break right now and take a look at some of the college shows that we got here on KC Sports Network. It's not all just Chiefs. We have a little bit of college stuff as well. We'll be right back in about a minute. Through, but that Border War podcast with Jared Sutton and Jeff Hawkins, I'm pretty excited about that podcast.
Man,
the KU Mizzou basketball, like, come on.
It's bottling up some of the fiercest energy in the entire city.
December 11th in Lawrence, like, we're going to have some fun. We're going to announce some live shows. We got some cool stuff coming up at KC Sports Network. Please stay tuned to that. But right now, let's get back to this show. And right here in the middle of the show, we always have our sponsored segments. And right now, we're going to talk a little bit about leadership. We talked about Andy Reid earlier. I want to talk about Patrick Mahomes. I put the quote out from KC Sports Network earlier, or on KC Sports Network's Twitter earlier. But Patrick Mahomes had a quote earlier this week that I don't think we should gloss over when your leader of your football team says the right things. I know we kind of expect them to say the right things, but said, we put our backs against the wall, and right now we're going to see who we are, and I think you'll see the best of us today. And he went out there and threw 5 touchdowns, 278. He did force one, got it, but 5 touchdowns, a quiet performance. Went out there and showed why he's a leader. You know who else is a leader?
Who, Beach?
Fairway Independent Mortgage. Fairway Independent Mortgage makes the home loan process as simple as possible by guiding you through every step, just as they've done for the past 25 years. Call Jennifer Dixon at 816-390-8898. That's 816-390-8898. Great rates, a focus on customer service, and the fastest turn times in the industry. That's Fairway Independent Mortgage. Let's talk a little 15.
Man, I tell you what, quarterbacks make their money in the red zone. They make their money on third down. And we talked a little bit about that a little bit.
Said that before.
I have said it a little bit before. And it's absolutely true. And you see the leadership, you see the focus, the attention to detail from Patrick Mahomes this week, and the execution in the biggest moments of this game, down in the red zone. Perfect. Third down, 9 out of 10, 1 interception against pressure, arm gets hit. Outside of that, he was absolutely dominant. 9 out of 10 on third down is exceptional. Those little things, that is a real response. That's about as good of a response as you can have from Patrick Mahomes, and it starts with him. He'll tell you it starts with him. And it did start with him today. Yep. Hopefully that's the first step in, a long stretch here. Big one coming up this next week. We'll probably, maybe we talk about later. I don't know. But this was a good game for the offense. He led from the front, 42 points on the board on the road.
Again, first quarterback, according to Tucker Franklin, first quarterback in NFL history, win 40 games in his first 50 starts. If you can't see Tucker right now, he's like this. Just wearing it right now. But, before we get to the next segment, the other thing that I want to talk about real fast, going off script for a second, is that we are doing something at KC Sports Network that we all feel very, very strongly about. And we are doing a campaign called Feed It Forward for teacher appreciation this year. Every Thursday, Friday, depending upon if they have school, we're sending 100 Cookie Society cookies. Yes, that is Jeff Allen's and his wife Marissa's company based down there in Frisco, Texas. We are sending 100 Cookie Society cookies to a different school. We're doing elementary, middle, high schools, bouncing back and forth between Kansas and Missouri. We're doing this every week. It's just a thank you to teachers for everything that they've done. We appreciate the support that they've given us and the early support that we've gotten so far with the first deliveries that we had for Feed It Forward last week. But again, we just wanted to put that out there because, again, anyone that hasn't subscribed to our daily newsletter, for every subscription that we get, we're sending an additional 5 cookies to 5 different teachers in Kansas City. Just wanted to put that out there right now. But Kent, the 6th observation in this game is going to be our Big Cedar Golf best drive of the game. And we agreed on this, and this was pretty easy for us on this. Early in the fourth quarter, leading by 5 at 28-23. The Chiefs went 75 yards on 11 plays, converting 2 third and shorts. But the thing that it ended with the Tyreek Hill touchdown, but the thing that I loved about this drive, 7 rushes for 41 yards on that drive. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 4 carries for 34 yards, 8.5 yards per carry. When you're leading in the fourth quarter, the other team knows you're going to run it, and the offensive line got it done.
Yeah, it was a dominant run performance up front down that drive. And really the entirety of the game, the Chiefs averaged 6.3 yards per carry on this game.
That'll play.
That'll absolutely play, and it was an exceptional run performance, by the Chiefs' offensive line and Clyde Edwards-Helaire, to his credit. And the funny thing is, even that touchdown pass to Tyreek Hill was a run pass option.
Of course it was.
So, and we were talking, were they downfield a little bit? But yeah, I mean, even the run game being established late in the game, it paid off in that situation. The Chiefs got a pass look because the run game was so dominant. Tyreek Hill slant touchdown, exceptional drive, and the run game really led that.
We've talked about it all offseason about getting a group doing the power runs, and you guys can break all that down of what the run schemes and what all that was. But at the end of the day, late in the game when you're leading, the other team knows you're going to try to run the football. I know it's the Chiefs and Andy Reid, they're going to throw it, but those guys were moving bodies. Clyde Edwards-Helaire was getting downhill. He was making good reads. His vision looked great. He was making big-time plays. And it was one of the better games that we've seen from Clyde, obviously, this year. Went over 100 yards. It was great to see from him, but it was great to see the offensive line just moving bodies early in the fourth quarter. I was getting excited. I know we love watching Patrick Mahomes throw the football around, but we spent so much time this offseason talking about getting an offensive line that can do that in that situation, and that shouldn't be lost.
Yeah, we were really hoping to see the offensive line continue to gel, and I think we were a little optimistic that they might be a little bit farther ahead when they first got into it week 1. There's been some growing pains here and there. Clyde offensive line look more connected than they ever have, and hopefully that continues for the rest of the season. That would be really that'd be a positive indicator, for success the remainder of the year offensively.
All right, that is the Big Cedar Golf best drive of the game. 11 plays, 75 yards, ending with the 12-yard Tyreek Hill touchdown on the slant. It's exactly what you want to see from the Chiefs. And Big Cedar Lodge is quickly becoming known as America's great golf destination. With some of the best designed courses in the country, nestled down in the Ozarks, it's exactly what you need when you know you need it. That's Ozark National, Big Cedar, Paynes Valley, Buffalo Ridge, Top of the Rock, BigCedar.com. Plan your trip now. We've been talking about getting down there for a while.
We need very quickly.
We need to get down there. And you know what else we need right now? I need some Maddie Lane on this show is what I need right now. So let's bring on Chief in Carolina, the owner of the farm. I don't know what else I can do to welcome you on, Maddie, but how do you feel about this performance?
Well, your performance introducing me was perfect. Like I could expect nothing better for you. That was great, BJ. So I'm pretty.
I wasn't happy with the owner of the farm, but the rest will play.
We'll take it. Yeah, it was good. I feel good. The Chiefs won a football game again. It's we no longer have to panic as Chiefs fans. This team is capable of winning a game again, so we have to feel pretty good.
All right, Maddie, I've got to talk to you about the intermediate short passing game. The Chiefs have had a lot of success, being efficient with some of the, what the defense gives them a lot of different times. And Patrick Mahomes has been very good about that. Seemed like he had a very good performance in that area of the field today.
Absolutely. And I think you see the Eagles, just like a lot of other teams, are staying in kind of 2 high shells. So they're keeping 2 safeties deep. They're not letting the Chiefs beat them over the top, except for that last play of the game, which they weren't expecting. But they're forcing the Chiefs to move the ball down the field. And the Chiefs did it. I mean, you guys talked about it. Patrick Mahomes had a great day. He played phenomenal besides the 1 interception, which I'm still not sure. He wasn't trying to throw to an open receiver, and he just got hit, and it messed the play up. We'll have to see later on about that. But just that quick game, the RPO slants, the arm angles on some of those throws are ridiculous. If the Chiefs can keep doing that, they're going to be hard to stop every week.
Well, okay, Maddie, I'm kind of sidetrack a little bit here. The offensive line really did a fantastic job, running the football, and we'll talk about the interior offensive line in a second. But you kind of mentioned some of the run pass option stuff, some of the arm angles and the adjustments, and some of the slants that were kind of opening up because of the manner of the looks. I mean, this offensive line dominating the way it did today, just across the board, that's got to just make this thing a lot more difficult. In its totality, when you look at the entire picture of this thing.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to go back and see how much attention the Eagles were giving to the Chiefs' run game throughout the game. Were they sending extra guys into the box? Were they getting linebackers that were stepping forward? Because that's something the Chiefs haven't dealt with in the past. But as good as the offensive line's been playing, again, with the run blocking, you wonder if that's playing a role or if it's just simply Patrick Mahomes and these weapons being that good. And the crazy part today, just in terms of the passing game, nobody else really had it going besides Tyreek Hill. I don't think any receiver besides Hill got more than 3 targets. Travis Kelce didn't have his best game. He couldn't get going. So it was essentially just Patrick Mahomes throwing to Tyreek Hill, short to intermediate over and over again, and they did it almost flawlessly.
Okay, so we talked about the offensive line real quick in its totality, but the interior of the offensive line had a massive test, their biggest test with Javon Hargraves, Fletcher Cox, Milton Williams along the interior of that defensive line. And it's two rookies and the biggest investment the Chiefs made in the offseason from a financial standpoint, Joe Thuney, Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith. That's a big, a big overhaul on the interior offensive line. And it looks like they were up to the task and had a really good week again.
They looked absolutely phenomenal. I think it's going to be something we have to go back and see. And I think you guys were talking about it. We know what kind of runs were the Chiefs throwing out there. It seemed like they had a lot of different stuff, but even on outside zone or toss plays, this interior offensive line was getting past the defensive tackles, up to the second level, connecting on guys. Like, they had no problems running the ball when it was a short yard situation, picking up positive yards on a 1st and 10 run. These guys were just absolutely dominant versus one of the best, interiors you're going to see all season. I think we saw how good Javon Hargrave was on his one sack where he did beat Creed Humphrey. Like, he's an excellent football player. And that was about the only impact him or Fletcher Cox really had on the game all day.
We've talked a little bit about Clyde Edwards-Helaire a couple times in this game already, but it really feels like the offensive line and the running back are a lot more connected than they've been the last couple weeks. Clyde seems to be seeing the field pretty well right now. And I think that it may be just a credit to this group kind of gelling a little bit more. This is week 4.
And that's a big part of it. I do think Clyde is understanding the pacing of running behind this offensive line, how these guys are doing. He can sit behind them a little bit more and wait for the last second to jump cut. He doesn't have to show his hand immediately because these big guys up front, in the middle, even the tackles, they're going to get movement. So if you can just kind of hang out behind them for a couple yards before finally choosing your gap or your hole. And I think you see that when you watch Clyde versus watching Darrell Williams. Clyde's running a lot more patient of the two, and it looks a lot better. Just looks a lot more fluid between the two units.
You did see Darrell Williams get involved a little bit more early, maybe even maybe they're trying to integrate him a little bit more into this offense. Did you take anything from that, or was it, what was the reason that Darrell Williams seemed to be getting a little bit more run this week?
I think they're just trying to share the load. I mean, you see he got almost the same amount of carries as Clyde until one of those last drives. He was a little bit more involved in the passing game, which has kind of been one of the things since he's been here. They love his pass protection and just they can trust him in the receiving game. But I was almost disappointed when I saw Darrell Williams get a run and it wasn't Clyde, because I think Clyde very much looked better. He was quicker. He was playing off the blocks better. Darrell Williams, I like him as a player. I think he's a great third down back, but he just kind of looked like he was definitely putting his foot in the ground and going straight north and south.
All right, Matt, we're going to find more of your sweet, sweet content and analysis on the KCSN Substack later this week. Thank you for jumping on with us and talking about the offense.
Oh, thank you, guys. Enjoy the rest of the show.
All right, and as we head into the final segments and final observations that we have in this game, I want to throw this out there because we tweeted this out there at 9:45 this morning. So anybody who's out there who is watching or listening who has access to Twitter, go to KC Sports Network on Twitter and make sure you are following us and retweet our tweet from 9:45 this morning, because we are giving away 2 tickets to the Sunday night game against the Bills next week in section 109, row 8. You are going to be kind of catty corner right behind one of the goalposts. These are very, very good seats for a primetime game against the Bills, who absolutely boat raced the Houston Texans earlier. Sorry, Derrick Henry's just going off on overtime here. Guys getting excited. But make sure you go and retweet that. We are giving away 2 tickets, and I'm just going to tell you right now, if I'm getting really excited, if I really want to, we might even throw an old bottle of 360 vodka to whoever wins those tickets. And we might even throw a couple of these whiskey glasses that we've got that are taking care of our spirits. It's my captain, his old fashioned. But yeah, make sure if you have Twitter, go retweet that, follow us. Make sure you're following all of our accounts. We've got tickets for this game. We've got tickets for a lot of future games. Make sure you're following us. We're trying to figure out ways to give those away and do something a little bit different, have some fun with fans, and provide value for us both. So if you're on Twitter, make sure to go and retweet that. But let's get into, now that we're in this fan involvement area, it's a nice segue because it all fits together nice and perfectly. See how that works?
I love it.
It's so beautiful.
Good job, BJ.
Thank you. I've done this once or twice. So let's go to some fan questions right now. Let's bring it up. All right, this is from Benjamin Wackold. Is the O-line starting to gel together? Lucas Niang got called for a few penalties.
Yeah, it was a rough start for Lucas Niang early, but I think largely you look at the totality of this offensive line, you got to feel good about where they're at, feel good about how things are, kind of going, especially in the run game. We talked about it a lot this entire show. Offensive line up front, running the football looks really good. There's some, it's not perfect. There's some things to clean up, and both tackles had their moments this week, and they'll get back to work on it, though.
Yeah, it's kind of hard with the offensive line, especially when you're watching it live, where I feel like, Lucas Niang had a bad game because the sack and like the penalty was like, that wasn't good. But we also went and ran the ball well, and it's not like I was paying attention every single time. So it does feel like the offensive line took a step forward today. A lot of the uncomfortability that we had seen from Patrick Mahomes in the pocket, outside the interception, where he's going to get pressured. The other guys are on scholarship too. So it's my favorite Martyism. So I'm not ready to make any takes on that, but it does feel like the offensive line gelled a little bit. And if there's one guy that'd say, hey, probably didn't have best game, it'd be Lucas Niang. But the Chiefs got it done up front running the football. So something up there was going right. So, Tucker, we got any more questions? Here we go from Ryan White. Do y'all think Travis Kelce's lack of involvement was just a product of the run game working or something Philly was doing or what? I'm going to say this because it's week by week. It's matchups. It's whatever it is. We joked about this before. We were talking about this before. Tyreek Hill had 12 of the 30 targets for the Chiefs, and Travis Kelce only had 6. Nobody had more than 6. So Tyreek Hill literally doubled the amount of targets as everybody else. Again, until you go and watch the film, I'm not going to say we knew what they were doing to Travis Kelce, but I'm never going to say that anybody has figured out a way to stop Travis Kelce or anything else. Because if you're doing too much to him, you're opening somebody up like we saw with Tyreek. And now teams have to pick their poison. And guess what? We got a little 19 coming in here.
That's true.
And
things get open up.
The hype train was definitely where the insider text messages were definitely flowing earlier today with all the positive Josh Gordon is coming stuff that was coming out of the.
It became a storyline.
Source stuff on game day.
It became a storyline already that Josh Gordon might be involved in. Maybe it's just a little gamesmanship with the Buffalo Bills coming into town. Probably might be the biggest game left for this Chiefs team on the schedule. Yes, think about it. I'm not scared. The Raiders are going to have 6 losses by the time that they play. Maybe I hope they don't.
I want to bop them when they're feeling good.
I don't want them to feel good. I want them to be miserable. But yeah, I mean, things are kind of starting to come together.
The worst thing you give them is hope.
Josh Gordon, can I?
I'm not letting that go.
All right, well,
right to my core.
Can I get this back on track?
I'm going to dunk on Raiders all I want right here, and I bet you people listening are nodding like, yeah, let him go.
Josh,
give your point.
Josh Gordon opens some things up outside. He maybe can take a little bit of the attention away from Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. Teams are picking their poison. They didn't pick the Tyreek Hill poison. They let Tyreek Hill dominate them all game long. That's what happened. Travis Kelce got taken away a little bit. It's okay. That's why they have both of those dynamic weapons.
That's why you have more than one weapon. All right, Sean M., I have a question. Can Neiman make a freaking tackle? I'll let you guys take this one.
Oh, no. Next.
All right, that was quick. Patrick Stufflebean, season TD record in sights of Mahomes. Ooh, I haven't even. Where's he on pace?
I think he was pacing in the 50s the last time I saw a
55,
something like that. 5 touchdown performance today certainly helps. And there's 17 games left in this, or 17 games in this season. He could jump that very easily. I'm excited to see what he does.
Tucker's so disheveled to point out and be like, "Hey, can you look that up?" And he's just like, "No." I got too much stuff going on. All right, do we have any other? Let's see here. B. Hudson, biggest takeaway from the game. I think I'll take this one. I think it's just the sky's not falling. And I think defensively you can look and say the problems are still the problems of what you saw defensively. I didn't like that we didn't get more pass rush. That kind of worries me that we're putting a lot on Willie Gay Jr. when he comes back, putting a lot on Frank Clark. Obviously, Charvarius Ward didn't play in this game either, so they're missing guys. This is the time of the season that everybody's going to be missing people. So they can't be used as an excuse of we don't have 100% of our guys. That's why you have depth. That's why you have to go out and play. So the biggest takeaway for me, though, it would be that. What about you?
That the Chiefs offense was humming on all cylinders. They were absolutely incredible. 42 points. I think they only didn't score in one possession, and it was that last one. Or that interception, sorry, the only third down that they didn't convert the entire game. That's an exceptional performance.
As a wise man once said, that'll play on Sundays.
That'd be a wise Tucker Franklin. Like he's very proud
I wish
of
people
himself.
could see you. This is the only thing I don't like about this setup is people cannot see.
Could we just get like a small Tucker cam in the corner just so we can just see?
If we could put it in like the corner. I wish Streamer would allow us to do that, just like a little producer can. But all right, Ryan White. Now the pass defense has struggled for 2 straight weeks. Does the hate for Charvarius Ward let up at all?
I don't know.
It's a tough one for me because I don't see the corners getting bopped on the whole time. I just see a bunch of throws to the flat on 2nd and 10 for 8 yards. And it's like, are we ever going to make that more difficult?
I think Charvarius Ward, I don't think is a particularly great football player. He has value. And even when you're criticizing players, sometimes they have value, just maybe their role's a little too big. Ben Neiman has value.
Would you rather have Charvarius Ward or Steven Nelson?
Charvarius Ward.
Then let's not have that conversation anymore. Charvarius Ward can get it done. We're in a good mood. Aaron Lewis, our good friend and one of our biggest supporters. What's up, Aaron? Would you like to have Jones back in the middle rather than the outside? Yes.
Rushing the passer, yes. Not along the interior during early downs. I don't, because we've seen him be a liability running against the run, and that's the problem. And that's why they're trying to figure out a role for him. He doesn't really fit Steve Spagnuolo's prototypes for interior, a little bit exterior, but maybe a little bit more explosion. But they're trying to figure out a role for him that makes sense.
Yep. All right, Tuck. What else do we got? Sean M. I don't want to watch this if I can't see Tucker. Tucker put his own comment in there. That's amazing.
It's a very Tucker move
24/7, or I will unsubscribe. Bring on the Tucker cam. We'll figure this out. I'm going to set you up for a point, and I'm going to sit over here and try to technically figure out a way to get him on camera. So,
God.
What are the Chiefs going into the Bills game? I know you haven't spent a lot of time studying the Bills yet. We're going to have content all week long. Again, if you have not subscribed to our Substack, our daily newsletters, you will get one every morning. At 6 o'clock, you will get a newsletter to your email. It will be in-depth breakdowns, analysis, film study, all that good stuff. You become a subscriber to the KCSN Substack. We'll have that tomorrow morning. But as they go into the Bills, what's the one area? And we've seen incremental improvements. Going into the Chargers game after Baltimore, it was just like, we need to see him stop the run. I know it wasn't the same running attack. They got a little bit better against the run. It was like, hey, red zone defense, friggin' awful. Got a little bit better in red zone defense. Where do they need to get a little bit better going into the Bills game?
It's got to be continuing to get a little bit better on the defensive side of the football. The situational football is going to be crucial for the Chiefs here moving forward against the Bills, because these games when it's against an opponent like the Bills, who you're probably going to see at some point here in the playoffs, most likely you might even see him in the AFC Championship game. If you don't start winning more games and continue to win games, you might have to see him in Buffalo. But situational football is so crucial to a team's ability, in the big situations and big games, whether it's in January or now. And so the defense is going to have to really tighten up, against. They're going to have to tighten up on third downs. They're going to have to clean things up as much as they can in the red zone. Those are things that they're going to have to do if they want to, continue to move and progress in the way that they're progressing. This game has a lot of flaws. This team had a lot of flaws today defensively, a lot of mental errors, a lot of uncharacteristic things from the Chiefs. And that we're not used to necessarily.
I don't know how else to do this.
This is great. But I'm echoing really bad, by the way, Tucker. So I don't think it went well.
No, I got you.
But yeah, those are the things that this team's got to get incrementally better on defense. Continue to do that. Just make small adjustments, and hopefully they can pull things out against a very good Buffalo team. This is going to be a really fun game. I'm really excited. It's a litmus test for this team. And they need it. They honestly need it. The Eagles were a good ramp up to this game. They got to go out and take care of business against one of the best teams in the AFC, if not the best to this point, honestly.
The other reason I think you're really excited about the Bills game?
Why?
Because our boys are coming in town.
That's right.
Because Maddie Lane and Craig Stout will be here. And for everybody that is a subscriber to KCSN, they know because they've gotten some emails that we are having a special college football watch party up at the Distillery in Weston, Missouri. They make the 360 vodka, one of our biggest supporters. We absolutely love those guys, and we will be up there next Saturday with a small group of people watching some college football, having some spirits, having some Jack Stack barbecue, having a lot of fun. They're going to have live music, a lot of cool stuff. So if you are a subscriber and you do not check your email over the last week and you want to come up to the party, there are just a handful of spots left. You can count them on one hand. If you want to come up to that next Saturday, 1:30 to 5:30, you'll be with Maddie Lane, Craig Stout, Kent, myself, and Tucker will all be up there along with some other special guests. Feels good to be back to 2-2. I'm not going to lie to you.
It really does. And
I'd lie.
It's a nice W. You got to move on. You got a big test coming. And this team can't look back anymore, good or bad.
I'm excited to have Arrowhead rocking in a primetime game. They only got one home. I think, to correct me if I'm wrong, I think they only have one home primetime game this year. I think it was like 1 at home and 4 on the road.
The Giants is a Monday night game.
Oh, you're
That
right.
might be
Yeah.
on the
Okay,
other
they got 2 because we got tickets we're giving away to that one too.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, weird. But we appreciate everybody. And before we let you go, we're going to do our post-game toast presented by our good friends at 360 Vodka. And all we can say is the sky is not falling. Patrick Mahomes is the best player in the National Football League. Andy Reid is making history, and we get to witness it all. So while we have our differences and everything as we go through the season, and you fan the way that you fan, at the end of the day, it's a beautiful thing to watch this team play because this is the golden age of Chiefs football, and we should not forget that. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and we will see you next week. Make sure to catch all our content at kcsportsnetwork.com. You can find everything right there. We appreciate your support. We will see you next week. Cheers.